Well, we're live. Check it out. Addicted to the Q. I'm Brian. We got the bum with us. We're missing Bradley tonight. He cooked Invitational KCBS, and he's at home dealing with all the leftover mess that he has to clean up. So tonight we have a special episode. It's the Missouri High School Barbecue Association. We've got Chuck, Tyler, Zach, Caleb, and Caleb's partner in crime, Travis. We've got Michael Goff that will make an appearance here a little bit later. The high schools are Mooresville, Hallsville, Osceola, and Pleasant Hill, all out of Missouri. Chuck.
Welcome, guys. Welcome.
You're the
Thanks
godfather,
for having us.
Chuck.
Hey, Travis.
Yeah. Travis. What?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good. You're live.
Awesome. Hey, guys.
Welcome to the Johnny Carson Show.
Yeah. We
Chuck.
just finished up with some fifth grade girls softball practice, so I'm driving home right now.
That's okay. Just don't speed too much. You're good. All right. Chuck, with the High School Barbecue Association, we know June 6th through 9th, just a couple weeks away, you have a championship coming up with Texas teams of all things. I mean, big Kansas, Texas, North Carolina. What got you involved with the High School Barbecue Association?
Well, years ago, I had a team at Cole Camp, and we cooked just with adults. I always wish there would have been a high school association out there. And then I guess it was 4 years ago, I just on Facebook, like everybody else during everything that was going on, and seeing that there was a National High School Barbecue Association, and I just started messaging Mike, and we just got talking about it, and it excited me because I thought, man, here we are, actual high schoolers getting to be able to compete against high schoolers, and get it going in our state. And I thought, here's my chance to start something new, something that would tie into our programs, especially on the ag side of things, where we teach a lot of food science anymore. A lot of us have food science labs. A lot of us are already catering and cooking barbecue, and almost all of us have got barbecue in our communities. And so to me, it was just a win-win for us, and I think for Missouri with the I don't know if you want to call it tradition or when you think about barbecue, Kansas City barbecue is huge out there in the nation. People come through the airport or traveling through. I mean, that's one of the things I see constantly. Where can we go eat barbecue? So I think for Missouri to jump on board, it was just, here we go, and we'll make it happen, and we'll learn as we go. And what else do you do?
So how many years have you had high school teams then, Chuck, between Cole Camp and now in Osceola?
Well, at Cole Camp, when we competed against adults, I think we cooked there for 3 years, and then actually part of the high school association, this is year 4 for us. Okay. And you have, is it 2 teams or 3 out of Osceola that compete? I have 2 high school teams, and I have 2 junior high teams.
Oh, junior high teams. I didn't realize that. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
And I know I've cooked against you and some of the high school teams at KCBS Masters comps and watched them get calls and everything. So that's always kind of the cool part, that it just because they're high school doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. I mean, they cook just as well. So it's always fun to see everything that they're doing and the success that they have out there for sure.
Well, I think that's I think everybody thinks about high school and they think, yeah, you're down there. And then, everybody's excited to see us. And then when we get walks or our kids get a 180 and stuff, they're like, oh, wow, some high school kid just kicked the tire out of us. And, this past weekend down in Texas, Carly, I can't think of her last name. Her mom and dad have a barbecue business down there,
I believe.
But Eckler, is that her name? What's her name?
Atkinson.
Yeah, Atkinson. She won in the Outlaw Association. Is that what it's called? The Outlaw Association down there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she won grand champion this weekend. I mean, there's a high school girl right there kicking it. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. We had was that Steak Princess? We interviewed
Riley.
We interviewed Riley and George just a week or 2 ago, and that, man, just listening to her, and they don't have any high school teams out there. So she's had no choice but to go, up against everybody, and she's doing pretty darn good. So
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
Yeah.
Are all of you guys like food science teachers at the schools, or what got you guys involved as the coaches? Not everyone at once. Well, Zach, you first.
Yeah, I'll go. So I also am an ag teacher. It actually started out. I had seen the organization like Chuck on Facebook a while back, and just I didn't really act on it. It ended up, it was kind of a hilarious way of how I actually found out about the association. My younger sister plays competitive softball, and she actually was on a team with some girls from Osceola, and their older brother was on Chuck's team that first year. And they're like, "Oh yeah, hey, we got to go back. We've got barbecue practice with Mr. Simpson." And I was like, wait, what? I said, all right, I guess I need to get a hold of Chuck and figure out what this is. And so yeah, this is our third year that we have been cooking at Morrisville.
That's
Tyler?
awesome.
We have a food science class that my teaching partner teaches, and I teach welding, greenhouse, barbecue. Like, I was just listening to Chuck's stories. I started smoking just when COVID hit. Before that, I didn't cook anything, but I had kind of found a love for it and was addicted to it. So we had a parent in town that had seen some stuff on Facebook as well, and he was just as fired up as I was about it. So whenever we couldn't find enough smokers, he filled in. He gave us a drum and a Weber Smoky Mountain that we could cook on that first year, and then it just kind of took off. And once we got going, barbecue was our biggest fundraiser. It was our most attended activities, and it really changed how we do things at Pleasant Hill.
Caleb or Travis, who wants to take it?
So yeah, no, I teach food science and all the shop classes there at Hallsville. Talking to Tyler and Chuck, that's what got us started. Last year was our very first year, and then I called Travis into this year, and then we fell in love with it. The kids fell in love with it, and it's taken off big time.
And Travis, what do you do at the school? Are you the limo driver, or?
No, I do have my bus license though, so I end up getting conned into that every once in a while. No, I run the middle school weight room all day, just because our head football coach runs a high school weight room. I coach football and track, and then just do this on the side. So whenever Caleb asked me to be a part of it, I was like, heck yeah! I love doing this stuff for fun.
Nice. Now let me ask you guys a serious question. Back when we were growing up, we only knew of food science in like the city type of schools as like your cooking classes. What is the difference between ag and food science?
Well, I think for agricultural food science for us, I guess we break it all the way down to part that, in my Ag Science 1 class, or not mine, but my teaching partners, now, we're teaching how to judge an animal on the hoof out there in the field, in the pasture, how to raise those animals. And I think we're coming full circle in the ag side of things, because we're actually taking those animals and we're processing them and we're cutting them down, into steaks and roast. And we're talking about how to cook each part and talking about the tenderness and palatability from one wholesale to another, and then looking at those retails and really talking about, you take a steer or a hog there and, look up the prices on Walmart.com, for example, or whatever, and then think about that hog and what we just paid for it, what we did, and why does one cut cost $5, $6, $7, $8 more a pound, and really looking at, to me, in my eyes, of taking that before we actually hit the restaurant situation. And then I think we're also looking at even more of the scientific side of it. I mean, when you start talking about pumping hams and and curing bacon and that salt ratio. And, you think about still the food safety side of it from start to finish, because it don't matter whether you're a restaurant or you're out here at a kill plant. Food safety is huge. And, so we're always constantly covering that. But that's kind of how I come from an angle. I mean, we do everything from, we made chicken nuggets the other day. We had a chicken nugget challenge to end the year with in my food science class. And we ground chicken and we made homemade chicken nuggets and had a little cook off. And, it was an absolute blast. Kids love that stuff. And, they get to see it from start to finish all the way through. And so I don't know what everybody else's kind of take on it, but that's kind of how I look at it.
That is a lot more, though. Like with me growing up, it was, how do you make pasta? Here's burger, let's make a meatloaf. Here's cookies, let's make that.
And Brian, I'm older than you. It was called home ec when I was in school, and guys took.
Right.
Only guys that took it wanted to get baits is what they wanted to do. So I was in woods and metals class is what I was in. So. But you're right, Chuck. It's the whole life cycle of the animal, of how do you raise it properly, and really what you're showing, and what I love is all the options for careers that somebody can do, or just life skills that they can have from that animal to when it lands on somebody's plate, whether it's in a restaurant or at your own home or what have you. I mean, you're teaching them everything that they would need to know, or at least have a basic knowledge of it. Do you approach anything differently, Tyler, at your school? Do you guys do the same type of process or same types of classes, or?
We do the same types of classes, and my teaching partner handles the on the hoof side, and then I started introducing some cooking and some preserving. We always competed in country cured hams at the state fair and bacons at the state fair, and those kids really got fired up about who can make the best bacon, who can make the best ham, who can finish the highest at our local fair or all the way up to our state fair. And it was kind of a monster that grew from like 4 kids doing hams and 3 doing bacons to the last year, 52 kids were doing bacon. So just seeing them get that excited about a slab of pork belly, and it's like, well, if they're excited about that, they'll get just as excited about this. And it was right on the money, because and it really gives kids an opportunity that aren't recognizing anything else. They aren't necessarily the football quarterback or whatever, but everybody eats. So a lot of kids get interested in this that haven't really found their niche in something else. So and FFA is big in that from every standpoint. Of the FFA is finding a place for kids who don't really have a place.
Yeah. Well, and let's go to Zachary. So I think most know on here, Zachary and I met, was that a year ago or was that 2 years ago, Zachary?
Year and a half.
Year and a half ago. We met. I was selling 2 of my Hunsaker drums because I was getting replacements, and Zachary the school ended up buying 2 of them, and I threw in a deal. I come down and teach a class for his team and stuff. And what I thought was so cool is you did just have a bunch of juniors and seniors. You had all age ranges in the school. You had guys and girls in there, and we just had fun with it. It was really interesting on the dynamic of what, and it's not each year it changes the proteins that you cook just a little bit, maybe half chickens one year, the next year it's something else. But you taught me a lot, Zachary, when we came down there, just learning about how you guys did everything, within the cooking association for high schools.
Yeah. And my program even is a little bit different than Chuck and Tyler's as far as how I've approached the food science. I haven't necessarily had a dedicated food science class up until this up and coming next year. I'm going to have one, but I've always done a unit in my Ag 1, Ag 2, kind of do some of the meat science, the whole cuts and the judging and all that. But I've broken it down even to I'll do it during deer season. And something that very much a lot of my students around here, and we compare, breaking down a deer. I'll bring in a deer, get a deer donated, whatever, but we'll bring it in and we'll break it down from the hoof look at all the different cuts, cook a couple of them, hey, why is this one more palatable? Why is this one more tender? What, and with venison, it is very lean. So not necessarily looking at a lot of the marbling, but, looking at where is that cut located? What comparable would that be to like beef or pork, lamb? Where are these cuts coming from? And just giving kids a very simple, basic breakdown that most of them are already seeing. I have quite a few of my students are going out and they're hunting in the fall. And so, and at the very least, if we can give them those skills, I don't know if any of you guys have taken a deer to a processor in the last few years. You're probably not coming out of there for under a couple $100.
Yeah.
So
no, that's great. That's a real good point. That's a straight up life skill right there. They're gonna if most kids that start hunting at a young age are gonna deer hunt the majority of their life going forward. And so that's something that they'll always be able to do, whether they want to do the full processing themselves or at least understand what they're looking at and doing when they're out there. So that's great. I love that. Real quick story, when I went down to Mooresville and was with Zachary, and I remember I was showing him how to trim a pork butt, and I trimmed one up, and I was like, okay, who's the pork cook here? And I can't remember the young man's name. He raised his hand. I said, okay, I got hand him knife. I go, all right, you go at it. And he just looked me all nervous. Heck, he was done. I was embarrassed. He had a steadier hand than I did. He cleaned that thing up really good, but it's just great watching them go through the process. And I know teams like Brad and Bree with Black Magic, I know, have come down and done some classes for some of the teams and stuff like that. And that's I don't know. I know Brian, you and Goff did a class up at Hunsaker for a few of the teams. I don't know. I just think that's fun. Those of us that have done a lot of the comps can help share what we know of and pass along, and then combine that knowledge with what they're learning in your classes that you guys are teaching with food science and everything. I think that's great.
Well, I think any team that's out there, no matter whether you're in Missouri or not, if you have that barbecue association started and you want to mentor a team or come down and coach a team, or you're interested in helping, I mean, reaching out to all of us that are here, that's the greatest thing. Is we've been very fortunate just because I know a lot of teams that's out there, and what we've gained in knowledge. I mean, when we first started, I always call chicken the devil's meat, and I just couldn't ever get it. And, my very first team, we were at a comp, and, Ashton and them said, hey, Chuck, bring them kids over to the trailer. We're going to teach them something. You told us you're honest, you're suffering. Here, let's go. And, they packed all my kids in their little trailer, and they showed them, and then they said, there you go, get our chicken trimmed for the next day for us. And my kids about lost it, because they're like, there's no way. That he's like, man, Josh was like, there's plenty of chicken. Let's go. Let's get Wizzy. And, and that's what's great, because my kids eat it up just like everybody else kids that's been helped so far by one of you guys out there is they love learning from you. They respect you guys a lot, and they value when you guys talk, they listen. And I mean, they hang on every word. I mean, I know, Brad and Bree, I have a kid that's very close to them, and, he texts them all the time and messages them, and, asks for advice, or if he's suffering with something. I mean, and that's what's great is, you guys that are out there that are, master cooks, backyard cooks, whatever you want to call it, in a division of KCBS or any other association. These kids love learning from you guys, and you have a lot to give. So, we appreciate it on our side of things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, us guys that are in the comp side, we're looking at the future of KCBS, SCA, anything they want to go to, CCBS, Clinton County. I mean, they're our future. They're the ones that are going to keep it going after we're done. That's why I love teaching them and the young ones. I love teaching my 10-year-old whenever he wants to grab something and cook it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll throw it out there that are most of you guys parents yourselves. The same way with our kids at school, it doesn't matter necessarily how many times we tell them to do something or how to do something. When someone else says, "Oh, hey, you should, try doing it this way," they're like, "Oh, oh my goodness, that's great. Why didn't we do this before?"
And
So,
you told them that 20 times before that day before, didn't you?
Yeah.
on that note, Zach, I need your phone number. I'm going to put you on speakerphone. You can tell my kids to clean the room.
I'm still working on that one myself.
Caleb, so
Yeah.
you said this has been your first year that your team's been competing, is that right?
Second year.
Second year. So you're
Yeah.
into your second year, so a little less time than some of the other teams. What was your biggest obstacle in starting a team and getting things going? What was the hardest thing to overcome, or a couple of things?
Right off was like the motivation, but once we cooked, I think it was our first pork butt last year. I had a bunch of seniors, and then they fell in love with it. And then we started getting the cost of the meat, since we live here in Boone County, is extremely, extremely high. And then we had some parents start giving us stuff, and now we've got 2 Hunsacker smokers, Oklahoma Joe. We've got 2 Oklahoma grills, and we've got a bunch of other stuff. Community is absolutely fell in love. It was the supplies was our biggest issue right at first.
Yeah. I can imagine just trying to acquire all the expensive stuff that you need to get this hobby going. That's Tyler, what about you? What was kind of one of the hardest things to get your team going, or getting everything going, how to run functionally?
It was materials as well, but also like what information to take. We started out, YouTubing everything, and one video shows you to do a half chicken spatchcocked, and then the other one tells you to split it and then pin it. And it was like, which video do I believe? Who do I talk to? And kind of gaining those contacts. And Chuck's been great. Kind of seems that, like, while there are trade secrets and stuff that people aren't going to share, whenever it comes to kids, like, everyone's an open book and they're willing to help, and that's been great. So we were lucky that one of our kids' dads is Operation Barbecue Relief out of Pleasant Hill, who had been on the competition side and is now.
You got a secret weapon down your way down there. So
yeah, so he was kind of done competing, and he had all these things, and he came into our first practice cook and he showed us chicken thighs, and I think we did chicken thighs and New York strip steak, and he's like, "Well, where are your grill grates?" I was like, I've never heard of grill grates. I've literally been cooking since 2020, and I never had a clue. And I was like, they're in the grill right now. Like, is that not good? And he's like, "Oh boy, I'll give you a set." And just those little things, like grill grates or tongs, or he donated aluminum foil. He had us cook 200 slabs of ribs for our first fundraiser, and then it really just took off from that point. Without him, I don't know if we ever got off the ground. But once we were off the ground, we make more money off that fundraiser with barbecue than anything else we do, and people love our kids cooking for them. We're cooking the retirement parties. We're cooking the new teacher luncheons for our school district, and kids seeing that and having their teachers talk about how good their food is. That's what really made it take off.
Yeah. Stan's a great guy. You had a great, I knew you had that secret weapon down there, but that's awesome though, that he was able to help out with that. I figured that there.
Mm-hmm. Now, how would one go about, say, like me, somewhere in Missouri or Kansas, I want to get my school involved with the High School Barbecue Association? How would I go about that? If I was in Missouri, would I contact you, Chuck? Would I have to talk to the principal, have him contact you? How would something like that go?
Well, I think contacting me is great, because I'm going to give you the stuff to help take to your administrator. Administrators are all about those big key words that, every superintendent wants to hear, every board of education wants to hear. And, whether it's about project-based learning, or, the 10 C's of barbecue, or, career and college readiness, whatever it may be, what our motto is, our taglines, things like that, that just make sure you have what you need as a teacher, whether you're an ag teacher, FCCLA, FBLA, you're just part of a high school somewhere, we want to make sure you have the right tools, the right information. So when you get with that principal, he's like, oh, wow, why have we not been doing this? Let's dig into it. And I think that's probably a key place. And, and then really, I've kind of put it together, hey, if I was going to start a team, here's the bare necessities to get you started with some pricing and stuff like that. So that, when you go to that admin, we didn't get a chunk of money. I know Zach, I think his super coughed up, $5,000 to start it. I got nothing. I mean, a lot of things come from my house. I mean, my wife and I jumped in full board, and my spice cabinets were full, and within a year, $2,000 of rubs and sauces were gone out of my inventory. I mean, that was life. I mean, the kids used our stuff as we got sponsors, we headed the other way. So I think my biggest thing is reach out to me, reach out to Tyler, Zach, these guys that have done it for 3 years. They've been through some trials and tribulations with it. I think they'll, make sure that you have the stuff that your admin is going to want to see. And I think that's key. It's just like anything else. If you're going to propose something to the boss, you better have it planned out and ready for every question that he's going to have. And I think that's what I want to be able to provide. The other side of it is, if you can come to one of my classes in the summer, Tyler, I don't know, I would hope you leave there, and whether you're a cook or not, I know we have people that's come to the last 2 years in my classes, and they don't have a team, but they use everything I teach them, catering and making money. And, they call me for my recipes. They're using how we do our pulled pork. I mean, they see the value in it, whether they've started a team or not. But I think that gives you some baseline knowledge, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think, Caleb? I mean,
100%. Yeah. Like if I didn't go to Chuck's class last year, I would feel like 3 months behind, like where we are now, where we should be now for getting ready for nationals and things like that. Those classes help big time.
So is that a class that you do for potential high school current coaches and potential somebody who has an interest that you open up, Chuck? Is that what you do?
Yep. We're actually going to do this summer. We're doing it up at Caleb's at Hallsville. We're actually going to go one morning to Hunsaker, and I'm going to give away a drum at class that morning. He's going to take one of the drum kits, going to show the teachers how to build it, and then we're going to draw, and somebody's getting a Hunsaker out of that class this year. So,
wow.
Mark and I, we've constantly been in contact from the get-go, and Mark's
he's a great
huge sponsor for high school barbecue, and a lot of us use some of these products. And so, my thing is I try to show them what with the upcoming year, what 6 things going to cook. I give them baseline recipes, timelines, kind of get them started. We try to let them, bring a ton of product down from a ton of different guys. And I say, try stuff, this is how you learn, is get in here, and we try to have it hands-on, and, everybody's trimming. And this year it scares me to death because we flipped to brisket flats, ribeye steaks. That's not cheap, as we well know, this beef situation. And so, this class coming up at Caleb's here in July, we'll definitely learn a lot, because we also have grilled cheese coming on board and chicken lollipops. And so, we'll be introducing those new areas. So even for cooks teachers that's already have a team, it's another aspect. Hey, if you want a head start, here we go. And
so let's do a little spin on the whole idea. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, because I know it could probably last an hour, but obviously I think the majority, if not all, of the Missouri teams, they're all outside of the bigger cities, the Kansas City, the St. Louis. They're all smaller communities where they have ag programs and stuff. It seems like that's where these teams grow, because I'm not aware of a team actually in Kansas City at any of the high schools in Kansas City. How do we approach those schools to get that? Because it blows me away. Kansas City, the home of barbecue in the United States. I have 2 friends that were principals, and I could not convince them that this was something that, or I didn't understand the right buzzwords, like you said, to help them understand how it could benefit the students. what angle do we take if they don't have an ag program? And I don't even know if schools have industrial arts programs anymore. What are your thoughts on that? All of you guys, what do you think?
Well, it could be any program within the school. They don't even have to be. I mean, Texas has got board members that are their sponsor. We just have to find that one person in that school district that wants to be that sponsor that, is going to be that contact person in the school. So I think that's key there is we got to find that person. I push the ag side of it because I'm an ag guy and have been for 24 years. So, those are my contacts. Those are my people. That's my family out there in the teaching world. And so that's where I've pushed. My goal is as we keep moving forward here is, finding a way to get some of these other organizations and other people in these schools. I know my plan for, summer of 25 is to try to go to the other side of the state. I've been working and I think I'll end up getting it held at Blues Hog over there and get those guys wrapped into it and maybe get some of those guys from that side of the state, St. Louis area. I'm hoping to come over and take those classes there. But I think just finding that contact person, that's our big thing. We've set up at, the Capitol and did a show and talked to admins from all types of different size schools. And they were so impressed, but I didn't get very many leads. I mean, I don't got no teams coming out of the big city schools yet, but Springfield started yet another ag department down there, and they have some great VOTEX. They have some great culinary schools. That culinary school that's perfect for a high school barbecue team. That's culinary schools and the VOTEX and these high schools. They have everything there. A lot of them already have a smoker because in today's restaurant world, you better know how to smoke something in your restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, that's great insight there. That's I know guys like Zach Doherty with Breaking Slabs and I have talked about it at length. Like, how can we help get this going in Kansas City? It drives us crazy that there's not barbecue teams in Kansas City with all the barbecue that we have going on. And it's just, I guess, finding that right angle and finding, like everything else, finding the right person to talk to and getting them to you. And hopefully we can, because I guarantee in Kansas City, same thing in St. Louis, you'll have more than enough mentors. I know there'll be more than enough people like us that'll be willing to work with the schools and be coaches for them and mentors for them for sure. So.
Tyler, are you guys our biggest school?
I would say we're the biggest school and we're the closest to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. And then I had only taught at my school for a year whenever we started this. So I think my admin knew that I was already crazy with how far we jumped into the FFA side and the competition side there. But whenever I approached him, he said, you got to follow through. You can't leave these kids hanging. And you got to figure out how to pay for it. Those are the biggest hurdles that admin are going to see because ag programs, they know we're already dealing with a lot of dangerous stuff. They're not worried about a kid getting burnt on a grill because we're running chop saws and welders and torches. Yeah. They've got bigger concerns. But he said you got to figure out how this doesn't put you in the hole for the rest of your career, account balance wise, and you got to follow through for these kids. And that was really their only two questions. And once we started small with one team that first year, next year we had two, this year we have three. And I'm kind of trying to rein it back. I'm like, I'm not going 4 or 5 teams, just me and my teaching partner, because I can't keep eyes on enough kids at turn-in times. But just that follow through. And I think a lot of ag teachers don't want that one more thing on their plate. But this high school barbecue thing was kind of reinvigorating for me. It was something new that I hadn't done for the last 10 years. And it was another competition that could kind of fuel the fire that keeps me going each year and each day. So I like mixing up. I like that we have a different category every year or a couple different categories every year so it doesn't get mundane. I think there's a lot of things I love about that. And I think a lot of teachers need to team up because this can become a beast whenever you have to fundraise, you have to cater, you have to keep eyes on kids running smokers and knives and all that stuff and have a good plan and a good support system. And so I think they just need to reach out to one of us that has made the plunge. Maybe it seems a little bit less daunting on some of these schools.
No. Well, Travis will drive the new teams wherever they need to go.
No, that's great input.
And I would say, also with the barbecue, in our ag departments, and even if we could recruit some new teams in the larger schools, larger cities, it draws a different demographic of students. We're not necessarily pulling our top farm kids. We're pulling some of our students that are in class, that are interested. They want to learn the ag field, the ag process, but they don't have a farm that they're going home to. They're not necessarily taking the row crops and the large cattle operation. But we can look at the processing side and get that wheel and stuff going. And that's another way that we can look at recruitment. And I've talked to a couple schools, talked to a couple people in like the Springfield School District. That yeah, we're primarily ag, but how many culinary programs do you have? How many different, where you already have most of this equipment, that you just could turn a different aspect to it, and a little bit different light to your existing program, and see potential success.
No, yeah, I like that. You're right.
You guys talk about teams, like 2 teams or 3 teams for your school. How many students are on one team?
5.
Up to 5. Up to 5.
So you can have 5.
I've got 3 teams of 4.
2 alternates.
Okay. Do you guys do it like tag team, like 2 people on ribs, 2 people on chicken out of those 5 people, 5 students?
Well, I think everybody does it different. I mean, gosh, Royce up there had one team that what did he have? Was it 2? 2 girls?
Yeah.
And they ran
Yep.
6 categories. And then, his other team was a full team. So, I think we all attack it from a different. I mean, Caleb, how do you guys hit it?
Well, me and Travis originally this year we had an all-female team, and then we had a co-ed team, and then that 2 kids got sick the night before, and then it was, hey, hop in, you're gonna cook, and we'll figure it out from there, right, Travis?
Yeah, we. I want to say it was a document that I saw that Chuck had shared from a competition, and I was like, man, that's a great idea. And what it was like a Excel sheet that was like a schedule of you have your turn in time, and and it's basically like the whole day planned out. And me being on the coaching side of things, I love organization like that. So especially with dealing with high school kids, like for example, I remember when we went to that practice competition, some of our kids were like, I've never done the half chicken. The person that does the half chicken had to stay back and do the school service day. So I have no idea what I'm doing. So when I saw that document, I was like, man, this is great just to put this on there so that kids at least have an idea of scheduling, look at it and be like, hey, it's 9:40. We got to start trimming the ribs. We got to get this done or that done. And so the organization side of it helped out a lot, especially that day when we found out that we were no longer going to have a female only team, and we were putting a kid on tri-tip that had never done tri-tip before. So that was one of the things that was nice to get out of that.
Well, in the end, you hit it on the head, Travis. This is no different than the football team, softball team, track team, anything with any other organization with the school. You have to have a process and a plan to approach it, because you never know who is going to be able to, like you said, somebody gets sick or somebody has to stay back and take care of something else. Your star quarterback goes down. You got a backup quarterback. You got, if you have that organization and laid out there, at least they have a basis to go off of to be able to jump into. So It's no different than the Masters team, your backyard team. There's some teams that have 5-6 people. Then there's people like me that nobody gets along with, so I'm solo by myself half the time. So it all just depends. If I ever need anything and Chuck's at a competition, I go over and borrow one of his 30 people that's in his compound.
Yeah, we'll see you somebody.
Yeah. Let's talk about something with the competition that just happened here a few weeks ago. We had, and correct me, it was the Missouri State Championship. Is that what that was called? So we had the Missouri State Championship, and where was that held?
At our school at Osceola.
It was in Osceola. Okay, I thought it was. I want to make sure. And this year, Zach, it was one of your teams from Mooresville that won the state championship. Is that right?
Yes. Yep, it was my varsity crew. I've
Cool.
got 2 teams, so yeah.
All right, that's awesome. What did they cook this year? What was in this year's list of proteins that you guys cooked and turned in? No,
Go ahead, Zach.
I think he froze up.
I think he froze up.
They're free.
Oh. Well, we had half chicken this year. We had
Okay.
ribs, tri-tip, skirt steak taco. We have our wonderful chili, and then pork chop. And so, you know, 6 categories, and those kids don't get any of that product until the morning of. So unlike our professional guys out here cooking, or our masters, however you want to say it,
Yeah.
you know, you guys could trim that week, trim something different. They get everything raw that morning, untrimmed in a package, and they take it back to their camp or cook area, and it's on. And I mean, it's you know, they've got to get it trimmed down, they've got to get it injected, seasoned, or whatever they're going to do to it, and brined, whatever. And I mean, it's on. I mean, once those kids are back there with their product, it is awesome to walk around and watch 20 teams of high school kids. Just, I mean, it's busy little bees, and
It is. I didn't realize that. That's Zach. You're unfroze now, Zach. So, okay. So that's fantastic. That's great, because you're right. That's a whole nother skill set in the when you can trim stuff the week of, and you can take your time and do chicken one night. You know, like I have a comp coming up. Everything's trimmed already, but except for chicken. I'll do that at some point. But you can take your time. But when you've got it all thrown at you and boom, you got a certain timetable to get it done before you can even get it flavored. That's a whole nother component there. So that's fantastic.
That's where kind of the team construction, you know, how you put your team together, definitely plays big on that. Where, you know, my kids, I typically lean towards okay, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, and each kid is kind of the expert in that thing. And so when it comes to that morning of, okay, you're choosing the tri-tip, you're choosing the chicken, you're choosing the ribs, you know, they know what they're looking for, and then they're going back, and then they've got, you know, their timelines. Okay, you know, what are we doing now? You know, when do we need to have it done? When do we need to, you know, start our fire? What temperature do we need to have it at? And you know, that's something that so I've got some kids that this will be their first year going to nationals. You know, I gave them some of them the timeline for nationals. Like, why are we starting fires at like 5:30, 6 in the morning? Because Texas, they don't know the hot and fast like most of us up here. They're not cooking the drums at 350. You know, they're starting a coal burner, a stick burner, and they are, you know, and so like it's hilarious. At nationals, our first year, you know, we're up at 5 in the morning doing our meat check in or check out, you know, drawing for meat. And my kids all go back and put it in the cooler, and they all sit down and they're taking a nap. And all the Texas teams, they're, you know, stoking fires. They got big, you know, fire pits so they can burn down wood to get their coals and this and that. But yeah, and so that was something that's quite interesting to see.
Oh, I can imagine. So how else did the rest of Caleb and Travis? How did your team do at the Missouri Championships?
They did pretty good. They got third in ribs, fifth in chili and pork chop. Travis, was that right?
Yeah, fifth and eighth in pork chop, eighth in skirt steak taco, fifth in chili, third in ribs. Chicken and tri-tip were the only two that didn't place.
So,
Okay,
but no,
wow,
we were super impressed with them, especially with that rib category, which was super tough.
I'm impressed with them with
that's
that
awesome.
category.
How did your teams do this year, Tyler, at the Missouri Championship?
We had a fifth and an eighth place team finish. Not as well as we did the year before. We won it the year before.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. That was something I had to learn is how it's like splitting hairs at the top. You're looking at scorecards because they give us a grade card basically back through this format. And I'm like, man, our scores are high. And we got fifth in tri-tip or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know where we missed anything. So they must have just missed nothing. So it's pretty cool to see. Yeah. It's pretty cool to see the level of competition from these kids and how much they care about it. And whenever their name gets called, how excited they are. So hopefully light a fire under us for nationals and get better each day. We're having a practice cook tomorrow at 2:00. I think I've got 10 kids coming in tomorrow. So
yeah, I mean, it can get down to like what, a .001 is that 1,000th of a point? I mean, it's but not this last year I did the Invitational with Thomas and Chris and Brad. We were like 36th out of 126 teams on pork. I was literally like just under a full point away from top 10. I mean, it's nuts on the. So just tell your kids, do not worry about the score at the end of the game. This is where you got placed. It's by the judges. It's not on the kids.
Yeah. So we've got World Championships coming up in Branson in a couple weeks. So that is June 8th. Is that right? Saturday?
Cook day. That Saturday. Yep.
Yeah.
So on Friday of that week, we'll do, we have how-to videos. We have demos coming in. So like Stan's going to be demoing brisket, and like Smoking Magic's coming down and they're going to demo chicken lollipops, and Zuling Knife will be set up down there sharpening knives and stuff and doing demos, and B&B Charcoal will be set up. So, I mean, there's a lot of demos that day for the kids to kind of learn and kind of think about, hey, what am I maybe do next year? And just a good day of learning before the day of competition. So.
Well, good. How many teams are there that are going to be competing from how many states? Do you know that offhand, Chuck? Approximately.
Should be roughly 50 teams. And I'm not 100% on the states, but Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Florida are the ones that I'm pretty sure. I thought there was a couple more, but we'll see. Some of them just had their state competition. Some of them are just having their first ever state this year. So, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Florida had their first state comps ever. And so, and for some of the states, we come back talking about things that are tough is, how do you pay to travel, all that stuff there. So for some states, with us being in Missouri, I'm hoping with these 2 years in Missouri, some of these other states will jump on here and get hooked. And, we'll see some more states come on board and say, hey, we can make this travel because we're not heading to the southern part of Texas, so.
Yeah.
Is it open to the public on Saturday? Like, could we come down and walk around?
Yeah, we have people that just come in and walk around. Now we're at a academy this year there in Branson, Legacy Academy, I think is the name of it. And so it's a little different. It'll be a little tighter, I think, on space than what we were at the big resort we've been at the last couple of years. But we have public stop by because they're just curious, or they're walking down the road and they see all the smoke and they'll walk around and things like that. So, the other thing of it is we're still needing judges. So, if you really want to come Saturday, judge a category and walk around and watch these kids, it's pretty fun to do, because not only we get to eat the barbecue, but just watching these kids, because Texas middle school kids, sixth graders are out there cooking, and we'll have a couple middle school grades there, teams, but it's fun to watch everybody and watch the difference and see the difference in smokers. Zach talked about us cooking on trash cans there, or hot and fast, and then you'll see a team that'll come in with a smoker that probably could tube two cows in. I mean, it's absolutely ginormous. Their whole team will be up on the trailer, and they're going to town, and they're great cooks, and they know what they're doing. And seeing all the different pits, there'll be a team that runs on nothing but pellets, and they have all Yoder competition smokers, and so the wider range that you'll see is no different than going to a Master Series contest. You'll see everything underneath the sun being used. So it's great to watch the kids and the different things that are being done to, at the end of the day, produce realistically the same product, so to speak.
Yeah. No, man, I wish I didn't have my nephew's graduation, or I'd be there down there to judge and walk around. That'd be awesome. I know Zach shot me a message asking if I was available, and unfortunately I'm not. So, Brian, I think you should make the drive.
I'm going to try to. I
Round
might
up
tell
some
the wife
people.
it's our anniversary / my birthday type of celebration. So I might be like, hey, that Big Bass Pro down in Springfield?
And
I'll drop you off and I'll slide out.
And there's plenty to do in Branson as a whole. She could drop you off at the Legacy Academy where we're going to be cooking at, and you can send her to the outlet malls up down the way, and just come back and get me about 7.
Yeah, just drop me off at 5 a.m. Go to Silver Dollar City. Come pick me up when you're done. So Caleb, Travis, last time we saw each other, some cookers were dirty. Are these cookers pretty well cleaned up and oiled and ready to rock?
They are. They have been power washed and oven cleaner big time, so they are nice and shiny in the inside now.
Okay, good.
Were you guys cooking on creosol? Is that what you were cooking on?
Well seasoned.
I literally just before the podcast, somebody asked about seasoning, and we were getting rid of the seasoning when you clean a drum, and I had to explain that's not seasoning. That's. But 8 years ago, I thought, why would you clean that? That's what you're supposed to do. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're nice and shiny now.
Awesome.
There you go. So did I don't know if Zach. So is next year going to be in Kansas City by chance? The Worlds. Good.
Yep. Nationals will be. Tyler, correct me if I'm wrong, but Great Wolf Lodge.
Yeah, Great Wolf Lodge Speedway area. Yep.
Right, another race. That's awesome.
That's our backyard. All right.
I would say I will.
Definitely going to try to make that one for sure.
I don't know anybody that'll be graduating next year. They're all done. So I will put that on my calendar, and I will be there. 15 minutes from my house. I can do that. So,
that's Kevin. Chuck, do you have next year's dates? I was talking to Kevin the other day, and I totally forgot all about getting those dates. I didn't have them written down on my calendar. Or Tyler,
3rd through the 6th.
Yep, 3rd through the 6th. They're a week earlier, so no anniversary excuses for Brian, and everything should work out.
My anniversary.
That'll be a birthday.
Oh shoot! Okay.
June 10th is my birthday, so it's like both of them are on the week, so we have to take the weekend. So next year, I don't care. Just don't let her know.
No, that's awesome. Was there anything you guys have any sponsors you want to recognize, or anybody who's been a great help to you and your teams that you want to call out here?
Go ahead, guys.
I'll just say real quick, Kevin has been an awesome sponsor for us. I know that right before state, we did our last practice, and one of my kids, she was like, "Oh my gosh, we're not going to have enough perfect for state." And I was like, all right, hey, I'll go to Springfield and get it. And I was like, oh crap, I didn't get it in Springfield. And so luckily Chuck still had to go to Kansas City to get stuff for nationals. I was like, hey, can you pick up a couple bottles of Perfect for us? And morning of state, he's giving me like 4 bottles of seasoning. And his wife's like, why are you giving stuff to the competitors?
You owe me $400 for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Now, for everyone listening, Kevin is the second string quarterback. I mean, Kevin is Weekend Bum Barbecue, who sponsors Zach's team.
Yeah. Well, and that's barbecue, Zacho, what you talk about, what Chuck did. Many a time I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot my maple syrup. You go banging on the trailer next door to you. Or, I mean, you name it. We can all think of the different things that we've forgotten. Brian forgets everything, I think, half the time at his comps, and he's always borrowing. So, but it's what other competition would you go to, any athletic event, sporting event, whatever, where people are still going to help you? It's like, I forgot my cleats today. Have fun running down the field while I pass you, so.
Well, and I think that's what's great about our sponsors that we have. I mean, all of them are, Blues Hog's been on board since my first year of cooking and even helped us out at Worlds because I dropped 2 bottles of sauce and I had to go down there and, admit that, guess what? The coach dropped 2 bottles of sauce. Do you guys have anything? Because my team needs some sauce and there's nowhere to get Blues Hog at a fairground in Dallas, Texas, and the boys down there, you're like, you did what? Did you lick that off the floor, Simpson? And I'm like, no, boys, it was sad. Trust me, it was sad. I about cried, but they help you out, and I think that's what's great. When we talk about sponsors, I mean, King Louis has been absolutely amazing to high school all the way around. Last year at state, he even cooked lunch for everybody in the camp, and he's been nationals, cooked a gator last year. Smoking Magic. I mean, Man Meat Barbecue. I mean, there's just so many. I mean, Sofa King. You guys have sent things. The Bums sent things. I mean, Butcher has sent us stuff. I mean, there's just the list goes on and on of, Heavy Smoke, and there's just so many that I think you could mention that's helped us out over these 4 years of giving us some product or we're helping to do a class that it's been great. And so as we keep growing, then that's what we're going to need. I mean, is that situation, those sponsorships, because these kids, they're going to buy your product when they're out of high school. And, whether you're charcoal, a barbecue, or a rub, I mean, they're going to remember who did them good in high school. I mean, that's the honest stuff. You know how that works. I mean,
yeah,
kids are big on that brand and that, this is what I used on our team. These guys took care of us. They hooked us up, and they're gonna down the road, they're gonna buy your product. And I think that's key. And that partnership. That's one thing I love about Aaron. I learned a lot from Aaron a year ago when I watched him at KCBS. The awards there in Kansas City. He talked about not a sponsorship but a partnership. And he talked a lot about that, and I just sat back and soaked that up. And that's kind of how we're trying to approach things now. This is a partnership situation, and we're trying to promote you guys on social media and those types of things, but at the same time, by what they're doing for us, they know our kids down the road too are going to be their customers, and so I think it is a sponsorship / partnership there. And so any team or any business that's out there that wants to help high school kids out and help our teams out across the state of Missouri or any other state, I mean, we welcome you. I mean,
well, and you're right. It's you're approaching a group of young individuals that are going to be part of our adult community very soon, and you're buying brand loyalty going forward, or at least the recognition of a brand. And so it's a great partnership to have. It definitely is. And it spans so many different areas and stuff throughout multiple states and everything. So
I think it's great. I mean, and even a test run. I mean, we're doing a test run now with Hooray Grill And I hope to see them on board more with high schools across the United States. And there's other companies like that have reached out to other teams, and I think that's important to see that taking place, because hopefully in the long run, those work out and those develop over time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to shut us off here at 1 hour. So, yep, it shuts us off. It says live still, but it still shuts us off. That's what Bradley said. So, that's the unfortunate part of the live. When we record, we can go longer, but live it holds us to an hour. So,
Well, we thank you guys for sure.
Yeah,
and then,
I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed coming on.
After nationals, let's try to get some of you guys and some of your students on, see how they liked it, what they thought about it.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
And
It'll have to be my kids. I'm going directly from national barbecue to a international trip. So
there you go. Good for you.
We get done with nationals on the 9th, and we're flying out at noon on the 10th.
Well, good for you.
I figured you were leaving quick.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw out there just so if the American Royal is at the end of it's Halloween weekend this year. One, if your kids aren't cooking or whatever, I know Chuck's had kids cooked last year, I think, right, Chuck?
Yep. We'll plan to come this year.
But if you're not cooking, welcome to come to Kansas City for the American Royal. It's by the Speedway. It'll be real close to where you're cooking nationals next year. I throw a party with Smoking Elvis's and a barbecue team and Irwin's Pit Crew. We call it the Compound on Friday night. So you're all welcome to come to that. It's a pretty good time, and it's if you've never been to the Royal, it's a sight, and it's huge. It's massive, and it's a pretty neat deal. So you guys are definitely invited to come up and check things out. So, but
it's good.
Chuck,
time.
Since you said you're maybe cooking up there, is that convention weekend as well?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Nope. It'll be the weekend after. Yeah, because my kids, that's what we met last couple weeks ago, and that was one of the things discussed with my varsity kids is, what do you want to cook this year? And they all want to go back to the Royal because they absolutely love the Royal, and it's a great time for developing some more of those partnerships. I mean, our kids just walking around talking to people is great. I mean, that's we're sponsored by Machete Boys this year, and the reason is because of the kids. It had nothing to do with me. The boys were talking to him, and back and forth. And next thing I know, we're at the Bum down there, headed to Bum's party, and I get talking, and next thing I know, hey Chuck, hit me up with sponsorship. I'm all about them kids, and sure enough, that come out of it. Hooray Grill Company, that come out of the American Royal, and so that's the great thing for us cooking it. Yeah, it's expensive. I'm going to tell you what, we dropped some cash, but we also picked up some partnerships, and the kids, the memories those kids have. I mean, they talk about they're ready to go back. I mean, and they're ready to, they've already scheduled extra fundraisers just to raise the money this year.
Well, even if you don't cook, just to come for a day, or at a minimum, a day or two, just to walk around, and as Chuck said, it's networking. It's you name it. There's people from. I'm by all the international teams. We've got 12 international teams there. So you get to talk to, too bad this last year the Japanese team wasn't there, but I sat there one afternoon for hours with the Japanese team drinking beers with them, and they're just the most fun. You get talk about different cultures and different people from backgrounds. It's amazing. It's a great time. I would absolutely think that the connections that your kids could make would be beneficial to you and your teams for sure. Exactly what Chuck's saying. Yeah. So, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I know everybody's probably worn out after a long holiday weekend, but we appreciate you taking the time for this, and good luck to all of you. Hope Missouri sweeps it. I don't live on the Kansas side. Brian does, so I hope Missouri sweeps everything. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening, guys. Zach, shoot me your address again so I can shoot you.
Yep.
Guys.
Caleb, Travis, you got questions? Call me. You got to win.
Will do. We'll talk to you this week.
All
Have a
right,
good one, guys.
I'll send you a message here in a minute, Kevin. See ya.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, guys.